All right. Speaking of knowing God, I have a question after your knowing God 2 class this past week. Do Lutherans make a general versus special revelation distinction that we need special to know about Jesus? Yes. Yes. So what do we mean by that? The heavens declare the glory of God. The Psalms, right? And Paul talks about how God can be known from the things that have been made in Romans 1. So there is a general revelation of God in the created order, the first article knowledge of God. It is divine, it is omnipotent, it is true, and it is life-giving, except for once you no longer believe in him anymore and have lost him behind the veil of your sin. At which point, that general knowledge of God, the most you can learn of him, like the cleanest, most pure knowledge you can get of the true God from nature alone is that he's killing you. That he is royally pissed off. Which is why every other religion in the world eventually institutes some form of sacrifice. Right? You just have to have. There's some way to like say, God, stop it. Or gods, or river god, tree god, fire god, whatever. Stop it. Here, kill the animal instead, right? You will always institute sacrifice because the general knowledge of God is that he's angry. And this is why when you go and you watch the Nature Channel, you see animals killing each other. That's why Darwin proposes survival of the fittest is the only real universal law. Why death is the way that everything works in the evolutionary theory. So with that said, you can also in this general revelation of God observe that while he might be angry with us, nonetheless, there is an order to everything. It is not chaos pure, but that there is a structure in the chaos, and that the chaos even becomes a structure, that there's a way that it is tied together or hemmed in or controlled. So you can see that too. And you can start to see what might be called rules of thumb, wisdom, things that are generally true, things even that are ultimately true. And so if you want to talk about, say, the fifth commandment, you shall not murder, you don't need special revelation to know you shall not murder. And it's pretty straight up. Like, it's because when someone tries to murder you, you're like, that's wrong, stop it. Right? Like it's completely built in. So the bare knowledge of the Ten Commandments is also discoverable in nature, that there is a God, that he exists out there somewhere. Now his name particular you can't get, that he must be placated with holiness, that you need him to like be on good terms with you. That's third commandment, that's all there. Fourth commandment, again, that order and structure is built into everything, that's all there. That we're supposed to be happy, ninth and 10th commandments. That's also there. The pursuit of happiness in God. That's general revelation, and the best it can ever do for you is kill you with guilt. Yeah, kill you knowing something's wrong. So then you also need the special revelation, which would be your second article, third article. The special revelation would be God, after creation has fallen, inserting himself to say, and this too. And that word has always been incredibly particular. Peculiar, particular. Not general, not random, and not discoverable apart from it being said out loud by voices. You can't find it in the wind and the rock and the tree and the dirt, Yoda. You can only find it in the actual repetition of it. So from the start, the seed will be born of woman. Boom, special revelation. And that confession is held, and then more confession is given. Abel gets confessions. Seth gets confession, revelation to him. Noah, for sure, right? And then after Noah, you get Abraham, you get Moses, and so forth, all the way down. But all of those many and various ways lead to one special revelation. They're all about the one. They're all about this man, Jesus. They're all telling that he's going to come. That's the entire point of the entire thing, is he's going to come as mercy from God to fulfill that role. He does. He comes. Hyper, special, one-time revelation. God became flesh and dwelt among us. A new word, a new creation even. And in him being the firstborn of the new creation, both by virtue of his divinity, but then also by virtue of his going through death and rising on the other side, now that special revelation, that is words from him, about him, to pull us from the death that we're in general revelation. That is the gospel. And that is why the scriptures are so essential over and against the world, because without the scriptures, this gospel has no permanent confession among us. They're there to be the permanent confession, to be the test against which all things are tested, the norm against which all things are normed. So then the scriptures are that special revelation. But that doesn't mean the Bible by itself just kind of is going to automatically count, like I open it and I speak truth. No, because if you lose the special revelation of Jesus of Nazareth, dead and raised, the Bible's a closed book to you. It'll become simply another form of law by which you try to justify yourself. So we really want to keep special revelation emphasized as he is risen. He is risen just as he said. The prophecies have come to pass. It is finished. And everything else is tied to and from that. You don't need special revelation for the law. But the gospel is very special, very particular, very peculiar, very outside of normal, and very, very God doing something new when compared to the general revelation of creation. So, hope that helps.